recycling and job creation, unlocking the economic opportunities from plastic waste. Now, you'd agree with me that plastic pollution is a growing crisis here in Ghana. Now, according to research, we generate over 1 million tons of plastic waste annually, yet only 5% is recycled. But here's a twist. What if we viewed plastic waste not as a problem, but as a business opportunity? Can we turn Ghana's plastic waste into a multi-million-dollar industry? How can young entrepreneurs make a living from recycling? And what policies do we need to make recycling a thriving economic sector? Well, to help us understand or answer these questions, we have we're going to be joined by two industry experts, but I have just one now, and we're going to start a conversation with him. And then as and when the other joins, we'll bring her into the conversation. I have with me in studio Christopher Jan Mensah, who is a project manager at CESA Recycling Limited, an organization that is revolutionizing waste into valuable resources. Christopher, good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Thank you very much for accepting to be here.
Thank you very much too for the opportunity, and also a big thank you to your listeners, and also to my dear friend John Leeworth, who actually gave me the opportunity to also to be here. Thank you very much.
Right. Let's get right into it. Now, plastic waste is a major challenge here in Ghana, and we've had conversations around it. A lot of people have complained how they are choking our gutters, how they are causing all sort of problems. And I saw a picture many years ago, I think about 4 or 5 years ago, of a fish that had swallowed the corks of plastic bottles. And it is worrying. And as a result, the fish died. Now, that is why it's a major challenge. But let's start a conversation from here. How severe is plastic pollution here in Ghana, and how does it affect our economy?
So thank you. So the issue about plastic pollution is really a great concern, and where industry players are trying all we can to make sure that we're able to help solve this problem. But in solving this problem, there's more generation going on. So when I say generation, I mean industries are actually bringing more products, because you can see now in the market there are a lot of plastic material that is coming in terms of the bottle companies coming into the industry. Well, it's an economic benefit to the country, but it's also another issue. So based on the plastic pollution, which we can also derive some economic benefits aside the pollution. So I'm talking in the sense that even though industries are coming into play in terms of the production of these materials. So when we talk about plastic in general, it's not only about the pure taraba or the bottled water we consume. It has a huge market span. Even when you see even PVC pipes, they are all plastics. Not only PVC, we have categories. We have the PET, that's the pure normal bottled waters that we see. We have the HD. We have the PP. So it has a whole chain of classifications. So in terms of this space, it has a very wide economic benefits that we can all look at it from that angle. That is where we at CESA Recycling Limited come into play. So we as an organization, we try our best to recover the materials. As you already gave your narration, fish consuming the plastic. So we find ourselves along the coastal area where we are able to collect the materials from the communities before they enter into the ocean. And mind you, most of the plastic generation is not from the coastal area. It's from the hinterlands and ends up in the ocean. Because our drainage system is not that managed. So we have open drains, and everything is channeled into the ocean. We don't have a specific look at our door. So all the plastic that we generate from upstream ends up in the downstreams here. So that's the situation.
And that is worrying.
Yeah.
Well, now, from research, only 5% of the plastic waste here in Ghana is recycled. What happens to the 95%?
Well, so there's been an increase. Actually, there's been an increase. Okay. So we are now between 5.5 to 10% of recycling the plastics, because now I can't say that there's been huge advocacy in terms of the plastic recovery for economic benefits. So I must say there's been an increase, but there's more to be done to improve the system.
Now, large-scale recycling has a lot of benefits. Why is Ghana not embracing it? Or why have we struggled so far to embrace that?
So the industry is not well managed, because this is a place that we find entrepreneurs or business people in it. So anyone who has his own money, who feels he wants to venture into a particular type of business in terms of the plastic recycling. We at CISA, for instance, we are only focused on collecting PET bottles and the sachet. So
what's the PET bottle?
So the PET bottle is the normal bottle that you drink, the bottled water. That's what we are actually into. Yeah. So there's a huge market for recycling, but then it's also terms about people who are engaged in it to be able to recover the materials in a good state. In the process of recycling, it's a huge cost involved, because what I can say is that even with our industry, in terms of the PET bottles, so people are able to use the PET bottles for the fiber and food grade. So when I talk about food grade, so we are able to do bottle-to-bottle production. So the bottle that we consume can be reused again for the same bottle.
Right.
The same way, the same bottle can be used for fiber. Okay. That is the textiles that we see. You see a dress, they've written polyester. They are all part of the plastics that we see.
Oh, okay.
But then there's a wide market, as I already said. So it involves people, it involves chain. Because then we need people who are going to collect, people who are going to sort, who are going to manage the production process. And these materials can be turned into so many usage. I know there are a lot of bigger companies here in Ghana who are actually moving the industry forward, because they are using more of the hard components, the more valuable ones. That is the HD and the PP. So when I say the HD and the PP, I'm talking about there are rubber bowls that we see, our plastic chairs that we see.
Okay.
So now there's more advocacy on it. So recycling companies are adding a component of the already existing materials. So existing materials, for instance, you have a broken chair in the house, you see somebody passing by, they're able to exchange it for you for a bowl.
Yeah.
The same way. So there's incentive-based aspect of it. So the more we are able to collect, then the more we are able to recycle.
Right. Oh, I see. So from your experience, what is the biggest challenge when it comes to plastic waste management here in Ghana?
So it's all about our individual perspectives.
Tell me more.
So our individual perspectives. What someone sees as waste is not someone's waste. So if I'm generating the waste, we are not concerned about what we are consuming. We are not concerned about what we are purchasing. Somebody might go even buying sachet along the streets. Already the sachet is a plastic material. The person is taking another poly bag again. So if we are able to change our own narrative to understand that these materials are resources, so whatever you are purchasing, you are able to reuse them again for the other perfect. So what I mean is that even though there are challenges in the industry, because everybody will talk about funds. It's funds that you use and mobilizing in terms of logistics and all the other stuffs. But then we also need policies, because if we don't have policies to help us with source segregation, our senior brothers, our senior politicians travel around the world. When you go to the other countries, you see they have specific allocations for bins where people are able to segregate their waste, and it goes to the right channel for recycling. For instance, I was in Switzerland for a week to study how their recycling is being done in terms of electronic waste. So I know we're talking more about plastic, but I also do a little bit of e-waste as well. So that is why the plastic industry is actually a huge industry. So when I talk about even the e-waste, we have the e-waste plastics. So those ones are the TV hatchbacks that you see, our printer cases, laptop cases. They are all part of the plastics that we see around. So if we have the right education from the onset, then we can have a way to go. So it's more about the awareness creation, because now a lot of people are into plastic recycling, even though most of them are not formalized. But then there are a lot of people engaged in the collection. So we have a few companies that are processing these materials. So we know big companies like Polytank, Moinani. We have a lot of companies around. Right. Miniplast. They are all companies that are actually recycling these materials that we're seeing around. But our major concern is more about the PET, because nobody will consume or use a plastic chair and throw it on the streets. The ones that is commonly found on the streets is the pure rubber, the sachet that we all see around. So the main concern is that we have to raise more awareness, awareness creation, so that people will know that these materials, even though they are polluting, they also have value to add up to economic benefits.
Right. But I mean, I want to know, is it a consumer problem or producer's problem? Because you're talking about somebody buys sachet water and then they take an extra poly bag to put in. Is it the person's fault, or the whole plastic conversation we're having is the producer's fault?
So it's both the producer and the consumer, because if the person is not producing, no one is also going to buy. The consumer is not going to the market to buy. So they all have an equal share that they have to play. So sometimes we push all the blame to the producers, that they have to handle whatever they are collecting. So if they are producing 100 metric tons within a year, a month, they should be able to account that they are able to recover X number of whatever they've generated. So I know there's been extensive talk about the EPR scheme, that the extended producer responsibility. There's been a huge talk on it, and which we are hoping that it will come into play, that industries will be held responsible, so that they can have some levies to push the agenda for more of the recycling.
All right. So you are interested in more of recycling and not stopping production, because it's business for you.
Yeah, it's business, but that I'm saying that people have a huge company here that is not even being recognized. So even the poly bags that we use, even the branded ones that we use, no one knows where it's being produced. No one knows where it's being produced. And all these people are also creating job opportunities. Fine. We are all aware about the pollution rates that is going on. There have been calls for ban on single-use plastics. I'm not against the ban of single-use plastics, because sometimes it's really a nuisance.
What do you mean?
It's because these single-use plastics that you see, for instance, if you assume the black poly bags, these are all single-use plastics. When you go to supermarkets, they hand over poly bags to you, you take it to the house, you are not able to use them again, then you just litter. So I'm not against the ban of single-use plastics. There can be a ban, but then there has to be some policies in place to make sure that people are doing the right thing at the right time. Because if you are a responsible consumer, you know what you are purchasing. So I won't say because I'm an industry player, that's why I'm saying this. I use myself as an example. So when even I'm buying something from the market, it's either probably I take my own item or I have to look at how best I can utilize the rubber bag that I'm taking. So if I'm taking one poly bag, I know that equally I have to make sure that everything goes into one poly bag, so that I don't end up taking a whole bunch of poly bags to the house and discarding them into the bin. Because taking them into the bin, we are not doing source segregation, so they all end up at the landfill site.
Right. And so let's turn our attention to how we can turn that into economic opportunities. What are the economic opportunities in plastic recycling?
There are a whole lot of opportunities in the recycling industry.
Tell us about it.
So we have job creation opportunities. So as I already said, when people consume this material, so I think there's been a change in attitude a little bit. So now you come to extend that now when you walk through the streets, you see that people are actually collecting the plastic bottles. Even though people are collecting, the pollution also continues to increase. So we have people who are engaged in the collection that will be generating income. We have people who will also be transporting the plastic materials. They're also going to get a source of revenue, because when somebody is involved in the transportation of this plastic material, is also getting some sort of money that is also going to benefit the economy.
Right.
So we have people engaged in the collection, sorting, transportation, manufacturing process. So they are all people who are going to get some sort of revenue from whatever work they are doing, which they also have to pay a percentage to the government as taxes. And this taxes is what we all use, the governments use in producing other activities in the country.
Right. Now, how can we create a value chain where everybody, waste pickers, recyclers, and also manufacturers also benefit?
Thank you. So I would say when people don't want themselves to be recognized, because we have to build a system whereby the flow, we can get the flow in terms of getting cooperatives, associations to be able to help in the collection of these materials. So when we are able to get people involved in the process, then we can see that, okay, we are moving from A to B.
Right. Okay. Maybe Mike, are there some success stories of businesses that are thriving in recycling that you can talk about?
Yes, there are a lot of success stories that we are striving through. Personally, I must say, even at CESA Recycling Limited, we didn't just start as CESA. So we started as only collecting and reselling. So like buying and selling, the same business that we are all doing. So buying and selling. So moving from buying and selling from 2019 during the COVID era to now, we must say previously we were collecting around that's 1,000 kilograms, but now within a month we're able to do 30 to 40 metric tons within a month. So we've actually grown from one collection center also to about 4 collection centers, where we are increasing in terms of partnerships with other organizations to be able to promote the recycling activities. And I think just last year we were being recognized by the AGI, the Ghana Association of Industries. We were being recognized as the best entrepreneur for the year 2024, which we have one pending also, I think, within this month with the Business Executives Forum as well.
Right. Okay, we've been joined in studio now by Priscilla Asantoa Adjoa, who is a country representative and project manager for Associazione. Is that a word? Right. Zen Zero. A social enterprise that is committed to sustainable waste management. Priscilla, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. We've been having a conversation so far, and we've spoken extensively about the challenge, the severity of plastic pollution in Ghana. And we've also spoken about some of the economic opportunities that it creates. Maybe just where Christopher ended, are there some success stories of businesses that are thriving from recycling?
So I would say yes. There are some businesses that are thriving from recycling. Some people have been able to set up businesses where they're able to reproduce from plastic waste into bins and the daily household items that we have made out of plastic. And so far, people get grants as well in order to run the sustainability scheme, where they get people on board to help with a plastic-free environment campaign. So basically, I would say that day in, day out, it could be a profit or a non-profit agenda. But all in all, it's a profitable venture.
Right. Priscilla, what kind of business models are working in other countries when it comes to recycling?
So I'll put it this way. When it comes to recycling, for Zen Zero, we have Ethiopia. Ethiopia is thriving. It's thriving in the sense that the people have come to a point where they would want to do without plastics.
Okay.
So then people are bringing in more plastics at the plastic center that produces over 500 tons a month. Yes, that's with
Wow.
the center at Ethiopia.
Okay.
And we have our center here, or we work hand in hand with CISA here, where we work in the various hotels, we work in the various compounds and schools as well, to bring in more plastics to the recovery facility at La. Yeah, so that's what we're doing.
Right. Now let's talk about job creation. I mean, exactly who benefits from recycling. How many jobs can be created if Ghana fully invests in recycling? Christopher, you are part of the conversation, so feel free.
Oh no, I thought my mic was off.
Oh no,
That's
your
why.
mic is on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
How many jobs can be created?
So, using a typical example, for instance, our facility at Labadi. So, I want to say our facility so that someone will come and stand somewhere and he would hold my neck. So, our facility at Labadi, we currently engage 23 people at the facility. That is direct people that we are engaging at the facility. Aside, we have around 623 customers that we collect these plastics from. So not even factoring those who are also collecting from other places to the 623 people. So it has a huge channel or a chain where people are really going to engage, because the more volumes that is being collected and being dropped at the facility, meaning that we have to increase the number of people we are engaging at the facility. So let's say on average we have like 20 people working at each facility collection center. So if we have 5 collection centers, meaning that you're having about 100 people at a center.
Right. And that is just for your organization.
Yes.
How about your organization, Priscilla?
So far, we've had the rider, or the one who picks up,
Okay.
and then informally we have a few informal collectors that also are onto this venture. So let's say they are able to earn something on the side with what they give out, just as an incentive or a way for them to know that, okay, whatever I'm picking is not waste.
Okay.
It is waste. It will be recycled, but into something valuable. Or whatever I'm doing, I'm contributing. So then once I do it, I'm gaining or I'm earning some money out of that. So that's a job opportunity for them.
Right. Now, how can we support? You talked about waste pickers. How can we support them? Really?
So with waste pickers, mostly they look at, let's say, just basic items, maybe a land. Yes, because they need somewhere to pack these plastics.
Right.
They need nets, or let's say bags where they can pack these things into. Because let's say if a waste picker has a landlord, the land definitely is not theirs.
Yes.
They can't keep it on the side. And then we also look at volumes as well.
Okay.
How much volume you have before whatever you have is picked up. And over time, it can accumulate so many things, like mosquitoes and thereof, because definitely the rain and all of that. So basically, they will need a land. They will need just a few materials, gloves as well, to pick up these plastics from time to time, in order that their hands are protected as well for hygienic purposes. So basically, I think these are some of the things that they need. And yes, and also availability of people who are supposed to come and pick up these things, like the cars and all of that.
And that's a
If
major
we
one.
can't come, they can also have, a vehicle or maybe a tricycle or something to bring it from their end to the center to make life easier.
Right. Now, many years ago, I joined a particular project. I think about 3 or 4 years ago. I joined a particular project, and we were also going to go into this recycling and all of that. And we went to, you see, I don't know whether you know the Koli. There are some people that live just across that stretch, and they were saying that a major problem that they face is that people come and say, pick the things for us, we come for them, but they never come. How do we solve that problem?
So Thank you. So that was a major issue, I think, some years ago. That was even it's still a current issue because of the transportation aspect of transporting these materials. So, as my sister really said, it's about volumes.
Right.
So if you are not having the volumes and I move my truck to your end and I'm picking only about 200 kilograms or 300 kilograms, it's not worth my movement because then the value was really less, not as compared to today. So now, even when we started, when we have to come and pick from you and you have to send us an image for us to understand the volume that we are coming to collect so that we know which kind of transportation we should come along to come and pick from your end. So also adding up to what the waste pickers also need. One major issue is about the transportation and the space.
Okay.
So there's always a complaint about the space. We are collecting, we don't have space. So the volume also issue comes in. So what we are also trying to advocate is that, which I think Gaio is also helping us in terms of the space, is to talk to the various municipal assemblies so that every municipal assembly can have at least a hub for the collection of these plastics, so that it also helps in data collection, so that we can know that, okay, at the end of this month, we're able to collect X volume from this municipality, which also helps to have concrete figures. Because you could see that some of the figures that we are getting, we always sit down for the World Economic Forum to come and give us figures. That I said, even from the onset, it was for like 5%. But now, even with the 10%, 9.5 to 10% has really increased as compared to even last year. Because now there's a vast growing demand for these plastic materials, and even more investors are coming to the country to really invest into this plastic waste that we are all having an issue with.
Right. Right. The meat of our conversation really is the job creation aspect of it. What employment opportunities are in this space?
So let me go first. So there are lots of job employment opportunities. So I use myself an example. So right after university, I've not really gone to do any work for anyone. So I started using bicycle to collect cardboards. So from there, then we grew up into CESA. So I can see that
Cardboards,
that's the
for
paper.
what exactly?
Paper. So it's not only about plastic that is being recycled. So paper too is being recycled here in Ghana. So cardboards I was collecting, because then cardboards were having more value than plastics.
Right.
So job opportunities. People have to look at the job opportunity. People can be environmental activists. They are talking about plastics. We have operators who work in the factories. We have sorters who are able to sort the materials into various classification. We have transporters. Even the transporters, we also have to engage people who are also going to do the loading and the offloading of the material. If not that, if you are operating the forklifts, then there's job opportunity for somebody to also to be involved or employed as a forklift operator. So there's a vast chain of employment opportunity in the recycling space. It's about improving our infrastructure and also educating more people about the benefits involved in the recycling space.
Are there any you want to add, Priscilla?
I think that'll be it.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. So what is the challenge? Why are many young people not getting into the space? Priscilla.
Okay.
Looks like you want to shift everything to Christopher.
All right. So the reason why a lot of people are not getting into this space is because I think per our educational system, a lot of people think that whatever I'm studying in school, that is what I should be working in. So like he said, after uni, but I think he didn't mention what he did in uni. Myself, my first degree was in psychology.
Okay.
And study of religions.
University of Ghana.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then my second degree was in public health.
Okay.
Now, it has nothing to do with recycling in a way.
Mm.
But here's the case whereby I found myself in this sector. I had, no option. I have worked in other places, but in here, I had to embrace it. One thing I see with people is people are not open to change. People are not open to do things out of what they have already learned. In life, you don't stop learning. You learn from different aspects. Until you accept it, you are never going to move on or do something about it. People find this recycling job as a dirty job because of what it entails. And that when people see you, they feel like, oh, you're not doing a good job, you're not earning enough. But I would say this is where the money is. I mean, as compared to other things, like it is good in a way, but it comes with a lot of work.
Right.
If you're not hardworking, you can never stay. And the fact that people look down on these jobs or this sector is one thing. We're collecting waste from other people. Waste is nothing to other people. A lot of people don't understand the nitty-gritties or the processes that you have to go through in order to arrive at a product from this waste product. So then definitely a lot of people don't want to do it. That is why the youth are not so much into it. Or somebody says, I didn't do a course in maybe waste or whatever. I'm not going to do this. I mean, I have a background in political science and all of that. There's no way I'm going to do that. So that's where the problem comes from.
Christopher, what did you study?
So I studied environment and resource management, but then I had passion for environment. Right. So that's where I find myself.
That's where you find yourself in the space. So Priscilla is somebody who never did anything related to that directly, but she's working there. And Christopher has some background in there. So whether you are here or you are there, you can get into recycling and make some money. Well, we are 9:30. This is Business Breakfast on Z with me, Nichebi Hammond. And I'm talking to Christopher. Christopher works with CESA as a project manager. Is it CESA or CESA?
So okay, it's CESA and CESA. So change and collect.
Okay.
It's CESA Usubai.
Ah, right.
Then CESA. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. So that's he works with CESA or CESA. Right, CESA. Recycling Limited as a project manager, and Priscilla Asantua Ajwa is a country representative and project manager of Associazione Zenzero. Yes, Italian, I guess.
Si.
Yeah, Zenzero. And we are talking recycling and job creation, how we can unlock economic opportunities from plastic waste. And so far, we've understood a few things. But if you want to join the conversation, feel free to text us on WhatsApp on 0544321019, 0544321019, or engage us on our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH. And we'll do well to read your questions and comments. So that they can touch on it if it requires so. Right, now we've spoken about, you have spoken, Priscilla, you have spoken about the fact that people think it is a dirty job and all of that. How can we formalize informal waste collection to ensure fair wages and job security? How can we do that?
So, like I would say, there have been grants here and there. The government has tried its best. But I think there's monopoly in that sector. If it's more open to everybody and the right people get on board, everybody can work on it.
When you say there's monopoly, what do you mean?
Monopoly in the sense that, a lot of people feel like, I don't want to mention names, but
feel free.
We all know, like, there's this group of people that usually pick waste, and they started from time being for a long time ago. And they have been given contracts, to handle stuff like that. So if I should see waste outside and I go to try to pick it, they tell me, oh, it's for these people, but they have not come to pick it up. So then it leaves you in a position where I'm not being paid for this. Why do I pick this person's waste up? So then it piles up and piles up and piles up. That is what is happening in our market spaces and all of that. You go and find a lot of waste. And you ask, these informal collectors also take some money, but they'll come back and then dump it there because they do not want to pay the monies they are being charged at the landfills and all of that. So I think the government should get in, and it should start from home. Parents, children, charity begins at home. If it starts from that onset, everybody can hop on and hop in. Households actually dispose a lot of waste every time, if they're able to discard their waste well, segregate them, and then maybe if a community should have maybe a place where they can place these waste in segregation, it would actually be of great help to everybody. Because once it's segregated, we know that, okay, we're giving it out to this way. And then I think there's competition also that allows and disallows people from doing their best or going out of their way to do their best. So
can you explain further? When you say there's competition, between who and who?
We don't have just one recycling company. There are so many recycling companies around.
And that's a problem? I thought that's supposed to be something good.
So it's not a problem. So it's a problem, but not a problem. It's all about having good working relationship. Some people want to play a solo game, but then in the industry of recycling or even plastic collection, if you play a solo game, you're not going to help eradicate the plastic issues. So you have to create more synergies. You have to create more opportunities for you to be able to network with other people to help in the collection process. So as I really said, I'm not supposed to be here today. I believe they contacted Sikaplast, but Sikaplast was not available, so he gave me the slot to be here.
Right.
So if I'm not having a good relationship with Sikaplast, how can I be here? So we all have to make sure that we are helping build people up. But if we all try to play the solo game, it's really not going to help. So it's all about creating more synergies, partnerships to promote the activities.
Right.
That is why I, in particular, believe in more of partnerships to make sure that we are growing. Because now, even in terms of the plastic space, everybody is talking about Accra. What about the other cities? What are they also doing? Apart from Accra, Kumasi, what are other cities doing? So whilst we are cleaning up our landfill sites here, we have to clean the other landfill sites the following year. Why don't we spread, help build up other organizations who are within or outside Accra so that they will be able to pick up these materials to also earn a source of livelihood, so that it creates more job opportunities for people, not only in Accra, but then other locations as well. So the competition is there and it is good. It's because the market is not being regulated, and most of the materials we do normally export them. So as who you know, so if I'm the lead organization who is bringing the investor into the game, I have to come to you. But if you don't have the financial muscles, then the monopoly comes in, then it goes to the bigger wings in there. So as it goes on and on and on, the monopoly also grows. But then it shouldn't be so. Even though there's monopoly, you have to help the grassroots people to also build you up. Because if you have the factory and the grassroots people are not giving you the materials, the factory will be there empty.
Right. Priscilla, back to you. Now, Priscilla, you spoke about the fact that many people think, and I want to center around it because it's a major thing. The fact that people think it's a dirty job, right? But that is where the money is. Tell us, how much are you making in that space?
I don't want to commit to myself.
But there's money.
There is. If you know your customers, or you know the people that you're going to serve in that sense, because there are companies all around or outside the country that really use these waste for other materials like fabric, like hair, like the soles of shoes and all of that. So once you're able to get the right people, you're good to go.
Well, so do we need a mindset shift in the fact that it's a dirty job? Do you think so?
You should shift it. It's hard work. You need to put hard work into it. Everybody has a role to play, like Christopher said earlier. He said that there are people that go to, load and offload. There are people there. There are people that are actually do the baling. There are people that do the sorting. Everybody has a hand in it. Come in and find where you belong or where you think works well for you. Then play your role in there. It's teamwork. You can't do solo. Have a good connection with other people, a good relationship with other people, then you're good to go. Come in and find where you belong, where you think you can do it, and earn some good money. But if you sit there all day long thinking there's nothing for you, then probably you're not thinking out of the box.
Right.
Yes.
So, but it's generally not a dirty job.
It is a dirty job because you have to struggle. If I tell you I went for collection before coming here, will you believe? So I just don't only sit. I tell myself I don't have an office. My office is my track.
Right.
So you have to put in hard work for you to earn the money. Because the more volumes you are collecting, then the more money you'll be getting. So if you are not collecting more volumes and you want to stick to one particular, or maybe if you are collecting 1 ton a day and you have the capacity to collect 10, why do you have to stick to one? Because the more volumes you collect, then the more money you'll be able to get. So it's this in this industry, it's all about volumes. So the more volumes you are collecting, then the more profit margin you're also getting.
Right. Now, one major issue in the space that people talk about is exploitation, that they are being exploited. What policies can we put in place to protect waste workers, I should call them, from exploitation?
Okay, so I understand the concern of the informal people because we work directly with them.
Yeah.
So forming cooperatives also help them in terms of to avoid these issues. So when waste workers form cooperatives, then we have a uniform pricing mechanism where we know that even though they are not at one particular place, but then if they are a cooperative, then we know that this is the amount of money we are buying from every member of the cooperative. And a typical example is where we work. There's a mini transfer station. So we've all been in an agreement that we are buying X amount from these people. So anybody at all within that yard knows that this is the amount of money we are buying from them.
Right.
This helps solve this issue. But then if there are no cooperatives, informal people, I might say they are really difficult to deal with. But then if you are able to have the education and the training going on for them to form cooperative unions, then it helps move the agenda forward. Because when I come to you solo, so when you called me that you come and pick your material, when you tell me your volume, I'll tell you, give me your price. Then I won't go in with my price. I'll tell you, give me your price. Then I have to negotiate with you. But then if it's a cooperative, I can't go back and forth with you, because that we have a fixed price that we are purchasing from you. Right. So I'll urge all the waste pickers, if you are within a locality, they should form cooperatives so that these cooperatives can have more voices to speak to, because the market is not regulated. It depends on each and everyone's pricing mechanism that he's using. I'm using a different price. Koleba will use a different price. Sika Plus will use a different price. So, but then if they are cooperatives, when CISA is going, when Zinzero is going, everybody knows that this is the amount of money we are purchasing.
Okay.
So you get so. For instance, even though there's no price regularization, we are leveraging on what the Chinese are doing, because we were here before they came into the industry, and they are using some prices that we also have to beat to their prices, so that we're able to also get more materials to be able to also have source of livelihood.
So what are the Chinese doing? They've increased their...
Yeah, so they will increase their prices. You know them. That's what I'm saying. It's all about volumes. So if they increase their prices, everybody will drive to them. And now we've all given them competition. So now, when you go, it's a cash flow business. So when you go to the middleman, the waste pickers, okay, they'll give you this X amount of money. Even though they are bringing their own transportation, bring it. I'll give you the same amount of money. So then you're able to break that kind of relationship with them as well.
Right. Apart from forming cooperatives, especially, like, what other things do you think should be, what other policies should be put in place just so that these workers are not exploited?
So I think, apart from what my brother said, daily training also will do from time to time. So
training?
Yes, training sessions. Training sessions where they know what to do, what to pick, and what not to pick. Because sometimes some of the items come and then they are very nasty.
Also, you have to sort them.
Yes. So adding up to Priscilla's view, so this training really helps and it goes a long way. So you see, when they come together as one people, then they are able to share ideas. They are able to network, to know themselves, to know, because each and every time the trend of material keeps changing. Because if you could realize, previously our malt bottle, our Sprite bottles were all brown and green, but then there have been changes. So when we have these trainings with them, because we also only not collecting from them, you have to educate them in terms of the material types, their health and safety. When they come together, then they feel some sort of belongingness to one particular group, because we tell them that when you are going out to do the collection, so sometimes we plead on other people to help us with gloves, protective gears, so that when they are going out, they are being recognized that this person is a collector, so that the person will not feel inferior to whatever activity he's doing. So when these trainings are on board, it also helps them to have some kind of self-confidence within themselves.
Right, you were saying something?
Yes. So, like my brother has rightly said about this training, and also their health. He mentioned the safety gears.
Right.
Sometimes some people pick things they are not supposed to pick. They end up with body infections and all of that. So they should be, protected wise in that area where they're given these protective gears in order to protect themselves, so that they don't have other health implications. And I think nose masks also will also do the work as well.
Okay.
Where whatever is coming from the bottles that they are sorting will not affect their respiratory system.
Right. Now, for a young person who is listening to us now and is interested in going to the space, how can they start a career in recycling?
So I would say start doing the collection.
And I want you to,
practicalize it.
Yes, yeah, make it more.
So as I already said, you have to start collecting. So talk to people within your neighborhood, even start with your household. So whatever material that you generate in your household, mind you, it's not only about plastics. People also collecting organic waste. Your food waste that you are generating in your various households, you can also trade this organic waste as well. So when you have the plastic bottles, probably identify like 20 households and educate them on how they should segregate their waste. Tell them they should pack their sachet rubber separate, bottles separate. So every morning you can go through the various 10 households to do the collection. You got them at one point. Then you start from there. So when you have like maybe 50 kilograms, you identify somebody who is collecting, probably SSR or any organization. They come and buy from you. Then you start learning, because if you don't actually acquaint yourself with them, then you can never know the process. So you start gradually. It's not like people who have huge funds that will just come into the space. You have to start, because if you don't understand the collection process, and when you get to a bigger stage, you find yourself in a big mess. So I would advise that you start identifying either households or schools, or even just find only one school. Talk to the school so that they will be able to segregate this, because even a day old school, the kids are consuming a lot of plastic beverages. So when you find one particular school, at the end of the term or at the end of the midterm, you'll be able to get quite a volume of plastics that you only tell them you can just be a middleman. I can tell you, I always tell people, you go and do the advocacy. Tell me that, okay, you had this discussion with the school. We'll come in, we'll assist you with the education. When we are picking from the school, we provide incentives. So we'll give the school the incentive, but we'll make sure that we'll give you a margin where you also be able to get some sort of revenue from that portion, so that you can also be saving that money to add up, so that you can also start increasing wherever location that you are looking at. Because from one school you can go to 2 schools, then you can go to 3 schools without you involving yourself even in the whole process.
Right.
So that's how you can also
that's
start.
That's one way. How about Priscilla? Are there any other ways?
I think.
Oh, so if somebody doesn't want to collect, the person doesn't want to collect, they can't come into recycling?
Oh, the person can be, for instance, at ZFM. you can equally have something around. You are not really interested, but all the employees can drop at one particular point. Definitely, there's somebody within the community who's collecting. When you just say that the person should come and collect, the person will come and do the collection. You are not interested. So you bring it and identify somebody and just give it to the person.
But that
then
will be a gift.
It will be a gift because the person is also going to get something out of it. But then if you want money out of it, meaning that you have to accumulate it.
So the only way to make the money
is to accumulate it.
And sell and make the money.
Or sometimes you just have to look at a place where you drop off. And you see, earlier on when we started, we were providing, in exchange for materials, we were providing data, credits, and other stuffs. But now the demand has really grown. Nobody wants data. He wants the cash to use it for other purposes. Right. So that's how it keeps running.
It's like, see you nodding. You have something to say.
So to add up to what he said, one thing I would say is if somebody wants to get into the sector, they can also go to these or identify these waste centers to go and learn a thing or two in order to give back. And also there are training sessions also for recycling and then waste, where these trainings are usually free. They are usually very free. So you can just hop onto it, have that and have a certification. Then in turn, you give it back to the community where you also teach them on the segregation processes and why they should do what they are supposed to do in order to contribute to it. And also advocacy. You can also go for this training and become an advocate. An advocate for recycling or sustainability, where you can go to schools, children, teach them. Zenzero has that aspect as well, where we go to schools to teach children segregation. There's more of a club that we have for the children.
Schools.
Yes, in schools. Now we have 2 schools on the spectrum. So we put them into, like how when we were younger, we used to have section red and all of that. Yes, we put them into these groups. And then every waste and their bin color. Maybe you didn't know. Every waste and their bin color. So then we put them in these colors. The more you pick, the more opportunity you have to win something at the end of the day. Yes. So then it fosters that unity amongst them. It fosters hard work in them. And then the system of reward is what pushes them to become better in that regard. So then they know they are contributing to something. Because once it stays with them as children, it grows with them. So then it doesn't end there.
Right. Yeah. Well, we have 9 minutes to go. This is Business Breakfast on Z. We've been talking to Christopher, who's a project manager at CISA Recycling Limited, and also Prisla, who is the project manager and country director or country representative for Associazione.
Associazione. Associazione.
Zenzero. Anyway, all right. And we've been talking about job creation, recycling and job creation, really. And they've made a few points so far. If you're just tuning in, you can send us a WhatsApp if you want to join the conversation on 0544321019. 0544321019. Engage us also on our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and X at ZFMGH. Now let's talk the role of government and the private sector. We want to just finish with or end with those ones. Are there some policies that currently exist to promote recycling and job creation?
There are a lot of policies in place, but then the enforcement is the issue. So. And I know currently there's been a huge publicity about government pushing SMEs with about 7 billion investment. So that is what we are all waiting on for the government of Ghana to release it to the various SMEs. I think about 7 SMEs to be able to help them improve their infrastructure to make sure that we are collecting more volumes. And also, as I said, the EPR schemes to make sure that industries are being held responsible. And also the source segregation, if we are able to push so that households are able to segregate their waste, so that industries will also be assigned to go and collect these specific materials. Because I know various households do the segregation, but they complain that when our chief mighty comes, they mix everything together. So please.
Who's the chief mighty?
Okay, so let's say when Zoom Lion goes in there, they add everything up together into one track because there's no policy enforcing it. So if there are policies that were enforced that every household to segregate their waste, I'm not saying that we should just roll it up just at a go. I believe in piloting. So why don't we pilot it from one particular municipality and remove it from the other to the other? Thank you.
Or we could actually even start from schools.
Yeah.
Yes.
So every school, but back in Legon, you see the
UPPR. Yeah, no, I was part of the project.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you see that there's the plastic one and also the, but people mix it up even at the university level.
It started well because I was also there during that period. I was a student then, undergrad. It started well, but later, it became the Ghanaian way, and now they mix it all up. So that's a problem.
There's a problem.
So, sorry. So, one thing I want to talk about the plastic is people who are fond of consuming plastic bottles and keeping items in it should try their best to stop. You see people consuming gum, toffees, and they keep the labels in it. Already the bottle is already a waste. You add another waste into it. So it makes the process when it comes to the facility very difficult for us to work on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we want to wrap up, and just like you're excited.
Yeah.
Anyway, how can we encourage more private sector investment in the recycling industry? How can we do that?
So, from my view, we are calling on all of them. They should come. They should come and help us, because if they are all on board, we are able to share ideas and also see how best we can improve. Me sitting here, I know there are a lot of places that people have really called on us to come and set up, but we don't have the financial muscles to go there. So in our own little way, we try our best to push. So when people are really interested in it, they should come. We will do the analysis and they will see their profit margin and the differences. If they are really interested, then we push it from that side.
Right. Maybe my last question to you guys would be that, do you think we should ban plastics or we should encourage it?
From my point, I would say there should be a hybrid. We can ban it, but then we should look at reusable bags where we'll be able to promote this material, because there was a time where they were adding some components of biodegradable. Now the enforcement is no longer there. So there can be a hybrid approach where we are banning it, but on another process.
Right. Okay. Maybe final thoughts and then we can. Prisla.
Yeah, so to add up to what he just said, we need the private sector in there, because, there's a lot that goes into recycling and everything. And we need more of the transportation, logistic, and safety equipment and all of that to help so that we can even go far distances, because some people are in remote areas and we need us to come and pick their plastics, but we're unable to because of transportation issues. So, if that is done, and also the government should also build good roads so that we don't have our vehicles getting destroyed along the way. Yeah, it makes it difficult to go back.
Right. Okay. So, Christopher, your final words.
So, my final words will be thank you for the opportunity, and also each and every Ghanaian should play his or her part. We are all part of the problems, so we should all make sure that we are also part of the solution. So, thank you very much.
I am tempted to ask a last question. Yes, the focus of the conversation really is job creation. So maybe a final word to somebody that is listening who doesn't know that there's something in recycling. And I'll count it for Christopher.
Okay, so there's so much opportunity, there's so much joy in recycling. You are able to have interaction with more people to understand their issues. So if you are really interested in it, you can equally find us, Cesar Recycling. You can either call us or follow our social media handles, and you send us a message. we'll be able to help you pick up from one point, because if we are not able to help you, me sitting here will be able to help you, connect you to somebody within your locality. Thank you.
Right. Plastic waste, of course, is often seen as a problem, but but as we have discussed today, it's a multi-million dollar opportunity waiting to be unlocked. Recycling can create jobs, recycling can boost the economy, recycling can save our environment. But the question is, will we take advantage of this opportunity? A huge thank you to my guests, Christopher Jan Mensah and Priscilla Asantewa Adjoa, for sharing their insights and solutions. Well, to you, our listeners, this conversation doesn't end here. Let's continue the discussion online. Follow us on our social media platforms at ZFMGH on Instagram, Facebook, and X, and tell us how Ghana can maximize the economic potential of recycling. Well, this has been the Business Breakfast on Z with me, Nitrebi Hammond. Up next is The Brighter Side with NY